Part 20. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 191. What kind of business can a bankrupt CEO negotiate with himself? Therefore, Chen Tiansheng didn't take Zhang Cheng's words seriously and just ignored them. When Zhang Cheng saw his face, he also understood what Chen Tiansheng meant. Just finish it quickly. If you are interested you can still chat, if it doesn't interest him. He. See a visitor out? This deal is, I can give Director Chen the ability to have children again. Zhang Cheng crossed his fingers and said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Chen Tiansheng's smile froze. Restore fertility? The reason why he had no third child was because he lost his fertility after an accident. So I can only pamper Chen Luo. Otherwise, with the character of a business tycoon like Chen Tiansheng, how could he be willing to have one? If he had the ability, when he saw Chen Luo being such a licker, he would have thrown him away and just practiced the trumpet. With his status, even now, Chen Tiansheng has no problem dragging his beautiful secretary to carry out human-making activities in this office. Too normal. At that time, a large amount of money and a house will be enough to send the secretary away. However, due to an accident, he lost his function. Even Chen Luo's mother returned to her parents' home and was not with him in the Chen family. Mr. Zhang, please stop joking. Regarding my problem, I visited all the major doctors in Zongnanhai and the top doctors in the world. They all said that it is impossible to cure me. Chen Tiansheng sneered. He felt that Zhang Cheng was making fun of him. Zhang Chengdang didn't see his expression and continued, isn't it because you can't get hard and the sperm are all dead? I can help you cure it? Boom. Chen Tiansheng was immediately furious. He slammed the table and shouted angrily, Zhang Cheng, I don't have the heart to joke with you. Please leave now. Who are you kidding? I told you that I can cure your disease. Zhang Cheng also slapped the table and stood up. He spoke with a sneer and said, I am the Demon City Tiancheng Group. Demon City Tiancheng Company, as the largest shareholder of two companies with a market value of hundreds of billions, am I kidding you? Director Chen, please find someone to do the statistics. 75% of the shares in Demon City Tiancheng and 90% of shares in Demon City Tiancheng. Do you think I am worth more than you? Zhang Cheng's words made Chen Tiansheng calm down instantly. He didn't think Zhang Cheng came here just to treat him. He was afraid that Zhang Cheng would say that it would be difficult to repay a favor if he hadn't thought about it yet and it was cured. As long as you have an identity, you can talk seriously about anything. If you can really cure your own problems. With the connection between the two plot worlds, he didn't believe that Chen Tiansheng wouldn't know Lin Minjiao from the Qinyi Lin family in the magical city. Of course it's true. If you don't believe me, call Lin Minjiao yourself. He has the same problem as you, right? Zhang Cheng said lightly. Man, you are such a bitch. It's really Zhang Cheng. After Chen Tiansheng calmed down, he said in a deep voice, is what Mr. Zhang said true? Is he the largest shareholder behind the two Tiancheng groups? In just the past 2 minutes, Chen Tiansheng got a reply. When I get older, my trumpet will be better. When Zhang Cheng heard this, he suddenly smiled brightly, it's a request, but I have one. Moreover, Chen Luo, that filial son, might feel the crisis and follow his own arrangements. After hearing this, Chen Tiansheng breathed a sigh of relief. Therefore, the cover-up Zhang Cheng made could not prevent these people from using their power to investigate, and besides, he had no intention of hiding it. Considering that I am less than 50 years old, there will definitely be no problem if I practice trumpet again. As long as there is a request, you can agree to it. Everyone has such a bad bone. Zhang Cheng was calm and composed, holding a pen and tapping on his desk. After thinking about the pros and cons, Chen Tiansheng asked with relief, I wonder what Mr. Jiang's conditions are. Director Chen, listen to me. This condition is also simple. If not, then just casually deal with it. Chen Tianzhen's expression became a little exciting. There must be some requirements. He is the richest man in the Demon City, and his energy is higher than Zhang Cheng. Zhang Chenjia was so surprised that Chen Tianzhen lost his mind for a moment, then immediately changed his face and refused. Impossible. What I'm talking about is that Mr. Chen and your son should be cut off from their father-son relationship for 7 days. Zhang Cheng put down his pen and stared at Chen Tianzhen deeply. Chen Tianzhen thought for a moment and then asked, I wonder what Mr. Jiang's conditions are. Just let Mr. Chen sever the father-son relationship with your young master. Rich people like Chen Tianzhen, as long as they don't encounter natural disasters or man-made disasters, and are not unlucky, can usually live 80 or 90 years old. Does Director Chen still doubt my identity now? Zhang Cheng sat down again with a smile on his face, looked at him and said with a slight smile. You might as well say it. As long as I can do it, I will definitely satisfy Mr. Jiang's requirements to the greatest extent. He did not deny what Zhang Cheng said, but pressed the hotline. Help me check who is the largest shareholder of Tiancheng Group in Demon City and Tiancheng in Demon City. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 192. Isn't he going to stop his wife from getting engaged to someone else? I hope Mr. Chen will send someone to expose him in the hotel and announce in public that he will sever the relationship between father and son. It's just a matter of a few days. After hearing Zhang Cheng's conditions, Chen Tianzhen fell into thinking again. If he just said that he would cut off the relationship for a few days and scare Chen Luo's filial son, it would not be impossible. Seeing that Chen Tianzhen seemed a little moved by his words, Zhang Cheng continued, Dr. Chen, think about it carefully. Is what your young master is doing now a bit wanton? If you reveal your identity after he successfully prevented his so-called wife from getting engaged to someone else, do you think the Xia family will fawn over him? At this time, if you send someone out again and say that you will sever the father-son relationship with him and won't give him a penny, will your so-called wife continue to be with him? Frustrated, your young master realizes how fragile and vulnerable he is without your protection. No matter if he changes his mind or not, it will not do any harm to Director Chen. Because if you can give him a younger brother and train him, and change your mind, you will have taken back a good son. It's a good thing to kill two birds with one stone, don't you think, Director Chen? Zhang Cheng's faint voice penetrated into Chen Tianzhen's ears. Every word he spoke to his heart. How good can a member of a small family be? Isn't it right to follow your own arrangements and marry a well-matched woman? I have to say that Zhang Cheng's words really moved Chen Tianzhen. As long as Zhang Cheng could really cure his fertility problems, then the life of my family will return to normal track. After thinking for a long time, Chen Tianzhen sighed, Mr. Zhang, your words make me very tempted, but I don't know what you can use to prove that you can cure me. If you can cure my fertility problem, then I will promise you. As long as you can really cure yourself, then it's not impossible to act in a play with him. Although I don't know why Zhang Cheng wanted to act in this scene. Zhang Cheng opened the silver needle box on the table, took out 2 silver needles from it, looked at Chen Tianzhen, and said with a smile, Dr. Chen, I will give you the acupuncture. After 20 minutes, if you don't feel any changes, I will. Zhang Cheng gives you this Tiancheng company in Demon City. Chen Tianzhen was shocked when he heard this. Tiancheng company is a guarantee? This is a big deal. However, he still said in a deep voice, but I'm not very relieved. Mr. Zhang Chen Yuan, I wonder if Director Chen has heard of it. I heard it. I have cured Mr. Zhang's Parkinson's syndrome. If Director Chen doesn't believe it, he can just consult with any Qianyi group in Shanghai and he will know, Zhang Cheng said confidently. Chen Tianzhen had no doubts now. No one dares to make fun of the senior officials of Longguo. Otherwise, if word spreads, let alone two companies worth hundreds of billions, even if it is 1 trillion. There will also be people who will stumble him. Okay, let Mr. Zhang give it a try, Chen Tiansheng nodded. Within the next 20 minutes, Zhang Cheng injected several needles into Chen Tiansheng's lower body, each needle being targeted. Although Chinese medicine has miraculous effects on some diseases. But today is a scientific society, and it cannot compare with the professional medical team and advanced modern medicine. However, Chinese medicine also has methods to treat some difficult and complicated diseases. All I can say is that each has its own merits. 20 minutes later, Zhang Cheng put away the silver needle, then looked at Chen Tiansheng and said, Dr. Chen, after the needle is pulled out, the reaction will gradually come up. Because it has not been used for more than 10 years, the reaction may be bigger. Okay. Ready to let people in. Chen Tiansheng was not embarrassed at all, just a little excited. Just like that, after another minute, Chen Tiansheng, a middle-aged man, could faintly feel the subtle changes in his body. For a moment, the expression on that majestic face became a little wonderful. Is it really effective? For a moment, Chen Tiansheng became excited. There is hope, there is hope. Chen Tiansheng was incoherent and kept repeating. When Zhang Cheng saw this scene, he also chuckled and said, I am no longer suitable to stay here and watch. Mr. Chen, please don't forget to fulfill the conditions we agreed on tonight and send someone to perform a scene with your young master. Don't worry, Mr. Zhang, this matter can be easily discussed now. I'll let people come over when I'm done. Chen Tiansheng felt the heat gradually rising in his body and laughed heartily. One more thing, Zhongzhi is one of my people. Director Chen can keep an eye on the Zhong family. I'm covering it. Zhang Chen walked to the door with the silver needle box and suddenly turned around. And said. Hearing this, Chen Tiansheng was suddenly startled, then laughed, and said, in that case, let me make it clear to Zhong Shujiao. The reason why he identified Zhongzhi was because Zhongzhi was someone who could help Chen Luo and help him stabilize the Chen group. That's why he got engaged to the Zhong family. But now, I can practice trumpet myself. No need. Come in. After Zhang Cheng left the office, Chen Tiansheng walked to his desk and dialed his personal secretary's number. After receiving the news, the beautiful secretary immediately put down the work at hand and walked into Chen Tiansheng's office. Being able to be Chen Tiansheng's secretary, he is very capable and naturally pretty, similar to the looks of those internet celebrity girls. When the female secretary walked into the office, she saw the change in Chen Tiansheng on the leather sofa and almost screamed in surprise. Although Chen Tiansheng is middle-aged, he was still a handsome guy when he was young. Now that he is old, he is also very tasty, like old bacon. Xiaoan, come here, I have something to tell you. Seeing the female secretary come in, Chen Tiansheng waved to her and smiled. In the next half hour, a battle that was more than 10 years overdue took place in Chen Tiansheng's office. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 193. Coming out of the Chen group, Zhang Cheng's mouth curved. This is easy to handle. Even in the early stage of this kind of wireless novel, I don't need to know the protagonist at all to perfectly rob the protagonist of his opportunities. In this plot, Chen Luo can save his life. Zhang Cheng opened the car door and got in. That face that can make a woman fall for her at just one look, has a meaningful smile. In this book, the strongest son-in-law of a rich family, Chen Luo was indeed a waste in the early stage, and it was only when the agreed time between him and Chen Tiansheng came that he began to rise. Now if I don't give him this time, Chen Luo will basically be useless. The early stage relies on the Chen family, and the later stage relies on the plot of cultivating immortals. Therefore, if you win the early stage, the plot of this book will be over. And he doesn't need to kill Chen Luo to end the plot. As long as he plunders his luck points, Chen Luo will successfully transform from a son of luck back into an ordinary person. Of course, he is not ordinary. After all, he has a billionaire father. But I just don't know if Chen Luo will have a brain cramp and never go back. But what does this have to do with him? After thinking about it, Zhang Cheng started the car and left the Chen group. Demon City Antique Street. This is the only antique street in the entire Demon City. Many people come here with a pick-up mentality to see if they can be lucky enough to pick up a real antique like others. But most people are cut off from their leaks. Although there is such a thing as picking up leaks, it is not something that ordinary people can pick up. Because 95% of those who successfully pick up missing items are antique shop owners who open in antique streets. Zhang Cheng parked the car outside the antique street. Walking into the antique street, Zhang Cheng saw all kinds of antique shops and private stalls. There are some very old-looking objects placed on them. Although they look like antiques, many of them are produced in recent times or are imitations, and few are authentic. As soon as Zhang Cheng walked into the antique street, he could feel the atmosphere of antique shopping. In Guangdong province, these antique streets seem to smell like sandalwood. Ancestral calligraphy and painting, authentic works from the Song dynasty. You can take it away for only 500,000 yuan. Flower porcelain and celadone bottles from the Tang dynasty, passed down from ancestors, absolutely authentic, but the business failed, so I reluctantly sold them at a low price. As soon as I walked into the antique street, there were all kinds of hawking sounds on both sides. Each one shouts that his or hers are authentic. Zhang Cheng wanted to laugh when he heard this. Where did he get so many authentic works? If all of them are authentic, then what are these antiques worth? This time, his purpose in coming to the antique street is actually very clear: to buy the mysterious ring that Chen Luo bought in the article in advance and smash it. Zhang Cheng walked around the antique street. Finally, at the end of the antique street, I found a relatively old antique shop. After taking it out, the boss asked with a smile, "Guests try it first to see which one they like." The boss didn't dare to delay, so he quickly took out his calculator and started counting. Finally, I saw a cracked emerald ice jade ring placed on the edge. Jadeite, yellow dragon jade, agate jade. Zhang Cheng looked at the row of jade rings seriously. Because a person with so much money must have extraordinary power. If he really kills him too hard, he will be the end of it. Hiss. Zhang Cheng walked over and took a look. After hearing these words, the Tang suit boss became energetic. He quickly picked up the black card and took a look, and suddenly took a breath. Zhang Cheng remained calm. This boss looked like a kind old man, but in fact he was also a master at robbing customers. Boom, boom, boom. Zhang Cheng took out a black bank card from his pocket and said calmly, "I owe you this little money." With that said, he walked to a glass cabinet inside and turned on the light. He reached out and knocked on the glass cabinet, and there was a sound. Finally, he said, "Guests, the four of us add up to a total of 137,600. Just give us a fraction of that and give us 130,000. This world is like this, a typical example of bullying the weak and fearing the strong." Upon hearing this, the owner of the Tang suit immediately smiled and said, "Yes, yes, you go this way. This kind of black card will not be given by the bank without a deposit of hundreds of millions." An old man in his 60s was dozing on a rocking chair in the store. Immediately, the Tang suit boss no longer wanted to take advantage of him. The variety of rings is truly extraordinary. If you kill it, just kill it, can you still get a sky-high price of tens of billions? Wearing a Tang suit with gray hair, he picked up his reading glasses from the tea table and put them on before walking behind the counter. Zhang Cheng glanced at the store sign and stepped in. It's just that what he sells is genuine. Boss, take out these 4 jade thumb rings and show them to me. Zhang Cheng pointed at a few seemingly casually. This should be it. The old man opened his eyes drowsily and asked, Boss, just take a look and see what you like. Zhang Cheng glanced at the jade products in the glass cabinet, raised his head and asked with a smile, Boss, do you have any rings or rings here? This shop is also one of the few authentic ones, unlike other jade shops on Antique Street, many of which are mixed with miscellaneous jade, but are just polished well, and only cater to those who don't understand. All, do you want them all? The boss couldn't believe it. Good guy. I want it all. Zhang Cheng's words made the boss suddenly stunned. You figure out how much it will cost. Then, he stood up from the rocking chair unsteadily. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 194. 130,000. After paying the money, Zhang Cheng picked up the packaged jade ring and left the antique store under the respectful eyes of the boss. This price is even lower than when Chen Luo bought it. When Chen Luo came to the antique store to buy gifts to celebrate Mrs. Xia's birthday party, she accidentally came into the store and bought a jade ring. At that time, I was ripped off by this Tang suit boss. It cost a total of 330,000 yuan to get this jade ring. Zhang Cheng directly stated that he was not short of money. He threw a black bank card over and the boss directly reduced it by 200,000. It's still the price of 4 jade finger rings. This is the importance of identity. Many times, certain businesses and people bully the weak and fear the strong. If you show off your momentum, they will be afraid and give you a normal price. After leaving the antique street, Zhang Cheng took the jade ring and went to the nearby demon city of Pearl River. On a hot summer day, Zhang Cheng stood on the edge of the Pearl River and looked at the river. Zhang Cheng took out the small box containing the jade ring, opened it, took it out and looked at it. As if sensing something, the jade ring finger emitted a faint emerald green light. Immediately afterwards, an ethereal voice penetrated into Zhang Cheng's ears. Little guy, do you want to become an immortal cultivator who can fly into the sky and escape from the earth? Zhang Cheng smiled slightly. The system and I have long been accustomed to talking in our heads. I saw him laughing mysteriously. He replied directly. I'll fix your paralysis. In the jade wrench's finger, the figure of an illusory old man suddenly froze. I'm riding a horse? Little guy, I am a fairy. However, before he could finish speaking, Zhang Cheng directly activated the suit thug skill, coupled with his enhanced attributes. The palm holding the ring hit the cement column guardrail with a bang. Suddenly, the entire wrench finger, which was already full of cracks, shattered into pieces. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing a major plot-changing mission. Villain value add 10,000. Congratulations to the host for successfully plundering the protagonist's opportunity. The protagonist Chen Luo's luck value is -20. Get the villain gift pack *1. A plot of cultivating immortality was broken by me in advance, but it was only worth 20 points of luck. Zhang Cheng couldn't help but feel a little disappointed after hearing the system's prompt tone. He is only 20. I thought he was in his 30s or 40s. A group of people tried their best to fawn over Xia Wanting and praised her endlessly. Ting ting, after we get engaged, we will travel around the world for a while, take a vacation, and then we will get married when we come back at the end of the year. Zhu Ming, who was wearing a white suit, came over and smiled gently at Xia Wanting. After doing all this, Zhang Cheng left. Much better than someone like Chen Luo. In the evening, the engagement banquet of the Xia family and the Zhu family was held in the banquet hall on the 3rd floor of a 4-star hotel in Shanghai. Wanting, your happiness has finally arrived. But since Xia Wanting and Zhu Ming fell in love and were favored by Zhongji, the eldest daughter of the tens of billions family, they became jealous again. Soon, the time was up, and the host of tonight's engagement party took the microphone and shouted, "Now, we invite Mr. Zhu Ming and Miss Xia Wanting to come on stage." Like before, whenever I was in a good mood, Chen Luo would ruin it. Originally her appearance could only be considered good, but after being carefully dressed up tonight, she had the charm of a mature woman. After Zhu Ming supported Xia Wanting's little hand and walked slowly onto the stage, the host continued to read the host's words. Xia Wanting's family was actually not welcomed in the Xia family before, and they were even excluded. Tonight is the day when Xia Wanting from the Xia family and Zhu Ming from the Zhu family get engaged. Yes, if it hadn't been delayed by your grandfather for 3 years, I'm afraid you would have lived a better life. Boom. Attentive, like a gentleman. Listening to the people around her praising herself, Xia Wanting felt particularly happy. Next, let us give the lovers the warmest applause and express our best wishes. This was the first time in 3 years that she felt so happy. However, before the host finished speaking, a young man wearing a high-end suit customized by a top tailor kicked open the door of the banquet hall. They didn't invite any wealthy families to the banquet, but only relatives from both sides came to attend. Zhu Minggren is handsome and has a good family background. From now on, you will be from a wealthy family. Both parties knew that although Xia Wanting had not been touched, she was still a divorced woman in name and was not suitable to be put on the table. Xia Wanting was immediately moved. Okay. It shocked everyone in the banquet hall. Although she had not known Zhu Ming for a long time, she was gradually moved by Zhu Ming's gentleness. Tonight, she dressed herself up extremely beautifully. On this joyous day today, let us witness the engagement celebration of this couple. I don't agree to this engagement. Immediately afterwards, a high-pitched voice echoed throughout the hall. Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes slightly as he watched a ray of green light rise and dissipate in the fragments of the jade ring finger. So it was just a simple and grand engagement party. It's not that I hate him, I just can't stand his dog-licking behavior. Can't I be normal to myself? Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 195. Chen Luo's voice rang in everyone's ears. People at tables 7 and 8 quickly turned around, only to see Chen Luo wearing a high-end suit, with an outstanding temperament. Those who were familiar with Chen Luo were surprised when they saw his changes. Is this still Chen Luo? At the entrance of the banquet hall, beside Chen Luo, several bodyguards stood side by side, protecting him in the middle. Chen Luo held a rose in one hand and a box containing a diamond ring in the other. I saw him walking slowly into the banquet hall. Your engagement is invalid. Under the attention of everyone, Chen Luo slowly walked to the stage and faced Xia Wanting and Zhu Ming. In the audience, Mrs. Xia and Zhu Ming's father saw this scene. Mrs. Xia immediately became angry, and a look of anger emerged on her wrinkled old face. Chen Luo, how dare you, a coward like you, come here to cause trouble. Chen, tonight is a good day. Get out of here and I won't argue with you. Zhu Ming's father, Zhu Gang, also darkened his face and shouted angrily. On the stage, the gentleness on Zhu Ming's face faded and he revealed a sneer. Chen Luo, don't be ignorant and dare to come here and act wild. Chen Luo, leave quickly, Xia Wanting said with a complicated expression on the side. Although Chen Luo was a bit of a dog licker, he was still obedient to his words. No matter what he asked him to do, he would do it without hesitation. At this moment, people from the Zhu family and Xia family are here. If Chen Luo continues to make trouble, he will definitely be beaten. After all, he was considered her husband and a licking dog, and Xia Wanting couldn't bear to watch him get beaten. Hearing Xia Wanting's words, Chen Luo was immediately moved and said softly, "Wife, don't worry, no one can force you to get married." As expected, his wife still cares about his safety. There was a hint of worry in Xia Wanting's tone just now, but she could still hear it. Chen Luo was extremely moved. But today is different from the past. I have resumed my status as the only son of the richest Chen family. In the entire Demon City, no one can coerce you. Zhu Ming eagerly walked towards Chen Luo and said with a cruel smile, Chen Luo, you really don't know what to do, you dare to barge in on any occasion. Today I'm going to let you know the consequences of messing with me in the Demon City. Chen Luo didn't even look at him at this time, disdain flashed in his eyes. Seeing him rushing toward him, Chen Luo waved his hand and said, put him down. Then, several bodyguards behind him immediately pounced on him after receiving the order. Two bodyguards grabbed Zhu Ming directly, and one of them held down his head and brought him into close contact with the floor. Bang! A sudden scene suddenly shocked everyone. What happened? How dare Chen Luo be so arrogant? Chen Luo looked at Mrs. Ya's and Zhu Gang's reactions, with a faint smile on his face. Get in here quickly and beat these guys out. Zhu Gang's pupils suddenly retracted and he lost his voice. Impossible, how could you be from the Chen family? Destined child, right? Mrs. Ya was also frightened. She stood up with a cane and said angrily, Chen Luo, get out of here. Seeing his reaction, Chen Luo couldn't help but sneer, hillbilly, stop shouting. This hotel is the property of my Chen family. Me, Chen family. There was silence for a moment, and then the whole place suddenly erupted. This incident turned the engagement party into a farce. Is it the Zhu family? Also, please give me gifts and reminders. If he is from the Chen family, then why did he choose to be a son-in-law before? Zhu Gang didn't dare to speak this time. He had seen it at a cocktail party. How do I know this? I only know that Xia Wanting was promised to Chen Luo by the old man 3 years ago, but I only know that she is a loser. Before he could continue to question, a figure that frightened him walked in from the banquet hall door again. Where is the hotel security? Get in quickly. Isn't this possible? Looking at him in disbelief. Tomorrow the gift value will reach 200, add 2 more updates, or even 3 updates begging for gifts. Master, everything has been explained. The housekeeper Lao Yang came in and bowed. After Zhu Gang heard this, he picked up the moutai on the table and threw it on the ground. Little beast, if you dare to hit my son, I will kill you. When I met you before, I didn't care about you. I didn't expect you to dare to poach my wife who has registered a marriage certificate. Chen Luo, he is from the Chen family. He knew the person in front of him, he was Chen Tianzhen's housekeeper. Chen Luo nodded towards Lao Yang, well, please step back first. Impossible. The uproar of noise in the whole place seemed to be suppressed by Chen Luo's calm voice. Upon hearing this, the angry Zhu Gang immediately calmed down. I will bankrupt your Zhu family tonight. This hotel is a 4-star hotel under the Chen Group, and Chen Luo said it is his Chen family's property, so. After saying that, he looked at Zhu Ming, who was pinned to the ground by his bodyguard, with a dull look on his face. He walked up and patted his face, gritted his teeth and said, you bitch, it's fun to steal other people's wives, isn't it? When Zhu Gang saw his son being beaten, his eyes were about to burst. He slapped the table, stood up and shouted, security guards, are they all working for a living? Chen family. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 196. At this moment, Chen Luo was in great glory. The Xia family and the Zhu family, who had some status, saw Chen Tianzhen's personal butler appear. Just understand one thing. Chen Luo is really Chen Tianzhen's mysterious only son. That mysterious only son who I heard was studying abroad. What no one expected was that Chen Luo returned to China 3 years ago. and he became the Xia family's son-in-law inexplicably? At this moment, everyone's thoughts changed rapidly. No, this is impossible. If you are from the Chen family, then why didn't you say anything before and instead kept being a loser? Mrs. Xia was the same way, with a horrified look on her face. There was unspeakable shock and regret on the old face. The Chen family. That one is the richest man in the Demon City. The truly richest family in the Demon City. It doesn't matter what the Zhong family likes. In the entire Demon City, who can compare to Chen Tiansheng? How could you be from the Chen family? Mrs. Xia muttered to herself in despair. If your identity is terrible, then the old man will not tell you until his death. It must be that you have some agreement. This makes it clear why the old man held my hand until he died, telling me not to separate you from wanting in 3 years. At the moment when Chen Luo's identity was exposed, Mrs. Xia finally understood. After saying that, she couldn't help but raise her head and look at Chen Luo's face that she used to hate. Thinking that he was just a coward, he didn't know what tricks he used to deceive the old man into marrying Xia Wanting to him. Although Xia Wanting's family is hated by him. But Mrs. Xia still hopes that Xia Wanting, a good-looking member of the Xia family, can make some contribution to the Xia family. She hoped to join a wealthy family, but she didn't expect that this wish had already come true. Chen Luo looked at Mrs. Xia and said with a smile, "Old Mrs., you are right. I made an agreement with my father that within 3 years, I would not reveal my identity as the only son of the Chen family, and I would not disclose my identity to Wanting. If I persist for 3 years, he will let me marry Wanting." And this matter was also warned by the housekeeper. If Mr. Xia said it, then I would have no hope of marrying Wanting in this life, but I persisted. Chen Luo recalled some good things, and then her eyes suddenly turned cold, staring at Zhu Gang standing beside her. Her words were extremely cold, but I never expected that in just 2 weeks, I would be able to. I regained my identity, but I was interrupted by this beast. So I went back and begged my father to let him restore my identity in advance, so, I came here. Chen Luo couldn't help gritting his teeth when he said this. Zhu Gang felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar, and he was completely dumbfounded. I never expected that an ordinary son-in-law would have such an identity. Master Chen, please forgive me, I didn't know you were from the Chen family. Before he finished speaking, Chen Luo yelled angrily, "Shut up, you idiot! You have no place to speak here. Does it mean that without identity, you can destroy other people's marriages at will?" After Zhu Gang heard this, he was stunned. They also said that if we don't meet the standards at all, they will take us to court. Zhu Gang's cell phone on the table rang. "Mob. You bitch, I'm really trying to offend you. It's fun to pry the wall in front of others, isn't it? Whoever dares to leave will never be able to continue living in the Demon City for the rest of his life." Suddenly, everyone's steps that were raised immediately retracted. Chen Luo beat Zhu Ming until his teeth were broken and blood flowed out. Then he stood up, took the handkerchief handed by the housekeeper, wiped his hands, and threw it on the unconscious Zhu Ming's face. The next moment, an anxious voice came from the other end of the phone, "Chairman, our company's suppliers and contractors are crazy. They all said at the same time that they would terminate cooperation with our company. They also said that they would strictly inspect our company's all products." Seeing the dramatic change in the scene, Chen Luo had a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. "Okay. I'll play with you until you have enough." Everyone didn't know what he meant, but a few minutes later the housekeeper Lao Yang called. Some partners also said they want to withdraw their shares. Looking around the area where the Zhu family was sitting, he said solemnly, "Tonight, I will make you, the Zhu family, bankrupt in public." Snapped. Because of Chen Luo's words, he shrank back and did not dare to move. "You don't know that Wanting and I are a legally certified couple, right? Don't you Zhu family like to pick corners? I'll help you. It's over, Seeing this scene, the entire banquet hall exploded. Zhu Gang seemed to have lost his soul at this moment, and his cell phone fell to the ground with a clang. Butler. Call down immediately and start. And you, your bastard son, dare to hit me. Hello. When Zhu Gang saw the person on the caller ID, he took the call and asked cautiously. Me too, I'm going on a business trip tomorrow. It's getting late, it's time to go. Together. When they were about to get up and leave, Chen Luo said directly, no one can leave, just watch the scene for me. Chen Luo's angry look and majestic aura left a deep impression on everyone. Buzz. The relatives of the Zhu family stood up one after another. No, I have to go home and have to go to work tomorrow. Chen Luo's highlight moment. When he came to Zhu Ming, who was pushed to the ground, Chen Luo raised his hand and slapped him hard. A stream of cool air rushed from the soles of my feet to the sky. Zhu family. Chen Luo's face was ferocious, and the anger and humiliation he had suppressed over the years completely exploded at this moment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 197. Just when everyone was shocked, a voice broke the silence. Chen Luo. When Chen Luo heard this, he quickly turned around and looked at the beautiful Xia Wanting, with a ray of tenderness in his eyes involuntarily. Xia Wanting was wearing an evening dress with complicated eyes. Chen Luo, you. She didn't know what to say now. Chen Luo must now think that she is a snobbish woman who only loves money and property. In fact, she is. But Xia Wanting doesn't think so, she just wants to make the Xia family better. Chen Luo interrupted her and said tenderly, Wanting, you don't need to say anything, I know everything. I know that this must not be your wish. Don't worry, since I'm here, I won't let anyone force you to do something you don't want to do. With true love in his eyes, Chen Luo deeply loved Xia Wanting. Everything that happened in the past few days, he knew, Wanting must not have done it voluntarily. He must have been forced. Otherwise, how could she be willing to divorce herself? Moreover, up to now, the divorce procedures between him and her have not been completed. It must be Wanting who is still hoping that she can turn things around. She will not give up on herself until the last moment. I know all this. Xia Wanting had already planned to be ridiculed and scolded by him. But when she heard what Chen Luo said, Xia Wanting was stunned again. So this is how Chen Luo felt about it? Thinking of this, Xia Wanting looked ashamed again and whispered, but my status is not worthy of you. Your father will definitely not agree to our marriage. Separating may be the best choice. Impossible, Chen Luo said categorically. My father agreed. If he disagrees, I will sever the father-son relationship with him. There is no way he will not agree to me. I asked him clearly a few days ago. Dad agreed. Chen Luo was very sure that his father definitely agreed with him. Otherwise, your identity will not be revealed. Xia Wanting was even more confused when she heard this. My own Xia family has done something like this. Can a big shot like Chen Tiansheng really accept me as his daughter-in-law? Is this real? Chen Luo nodded crazily, of course it's true. Hearing the exchange between the two people on the stage, Mrs. Xia's desperate eyes gradually disappeared. Instead, there was a sense of astonishment. What's the meaning? A big shot like Chen Tiansheng is actually willing to allow his son to marry Wanting? Without thinking too much, Chen Luo's next words made Mrs. Xia suddenly ecstatic, and another village was filled with bright lights. Will you accept my proposal? Are you actually willing to come up with such colorful gifts? Okay, good son-in-law, Mom was right about you, you are indeed a good boy. Xia Wanting's mother looked delighted after receiving the affirmative reply. Finally, there is no need to look at the Xia family's face anymore. For a moment, even with her money-grubbing personality, she felt a little overjoyed when she heard that the Xia family's wealth was worth dozens of dollars. I actually ignored him in the past. With his Chen family's hundreds of billions of assets, he can still get it. He once said that when he survives 3 years and unfreezes his bank card, he will definitely give Xia Wanting the most beautiful and decent gift. Chen Luo smiled slightly, and then said, "Everyone in the Zhu family, sit down and watch my proposal scene, Chen Luo. I want you to never have to worry about money in your life." Even his son Zhu Ming was pinned to the ground by Chen Luo's bodyguards and has not let go until now. He is still in a coma. It turns out that Chen Luo is so domineering and so handsome. Oh my god. He even has to go to jail. Xia Wanting saw that Chen Luo really didn't seem to be disgusted with her, but wanted to give her a grand proposal ceremony. He just responded to his own requests. Even Zhu Gang could only watch with pain at this moment. Now that all partners have stopped cooperating, he can still keep a large amount of money. If Chen Luo is angered, he will definitely not be able to get out a dime. Seeing Chen Luo turning his attention to the Zhu family again, everyone did not dare to speak. His face suddenly glowed with joy, and there were waves in his eyes. The betrothal gift given to you must also be the highest. Mom, don't worry, I can give you this gift at any time. Chen Luo smiled at her and said lightly. As soon as this betrothal gift comes into his hands, the entire Xia family will have to curry favor with their family. Chen Luo walked towards Xia Wanting, gently held her hand, and whispered, "Wanting, don't worry, I will definitely give you the grandest wedding." Chen Luo picked up the ring, knelt on the ground, and said softly, "Wanting, I owe you the proposal and wedding. I will definitely make up for it in the future. In the past 3 years, I still have more than 10 billion in my card, and I have a gift of 9.99 billion. I'll give it to you." What a coward! He didn't dare to speak either. "Okay, good son-in-law, are you telling the truth?" On a table in the audience, Xia Wanting's mother's lips couldn't stop trembling. Tens of billions of betrothal gifts. For a moment, even the old Mrs. Xia's eyes changed when she looked at her youngest son after hearing this promise. Then, he took out a small box from his arms and opened it. In the box, there lay a pink diamond ring worth tens of millions. Chen Luo grabbed Xia Wanting's little hand and knelt on one knee. Although everyone in the audience felt strange, no one dared to speak. They only felt that Chen Luo really loved Xia Wanting deeply. Just tens of billions. The son-in-law who poured water for his feet, cooked vegetables, and was disliked by him in every way. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 198. Faced with Chen Luo's sudden move, Xia Wanting immediately covered her mouth in surprise. His eyes were moved. Chen Luo seemed to really love him deeply. Thinking of all the things in the past, she let him sleep on the floor and wouldn't let him touch her. Even get angry at him. He was never angry, or even took it seriously. For a moment, Xia Wanting was moved. Having a man who loves me so deeply makes this life worth it? Chen Luo must be his true destiny. He is also the Prince Charming that he has been fantasizing about for a long time. The male god of his dreams has always been by his side, accompanying him, working hard and never complaining. Chen Luo, you are so kind. Meeting you is the happiest thing in my life. Xia Wanting's eyes gradually became gentle, and there were faint tears. I do. Hearing this, Chen Luo's handsome face suddenly burst into a bright smile. Then, he picked up the ring and helped Xia Wanting put it on. He stood up and held her in his arms. Feeling the warmth and delicate body in his arms, Chen Luo felt excited. He finally hugged Wanting for the first time. This feels so good. There is nothing in this world that can compare to this situation. The two embraced each other. Then, Xia Wanting plucked up the courage to give her first kiss to Chen Luo in person. The previous one was given to Zhu Ming. But now, it was still her first kiss, because not even a day had passed. Chen Luo felt that his lips were blocked by warmth, and his whole body felt like an electric shock, and he responded jerkily. It smells so good. He was dominated by Xia wanting. Looking at the two people on the stage, Mrs. Xia was extremely pleased. After all, his vision is not as good as the old man's, and his persistence is not unreasonable. This is really the biggest opportunity for my Xia family. Hey, Chen Luo is still a very good kid. Even my Xia family treats him this way. He still remains true to his original intention and always loves wanting Mrs. Xia sighed inwardly. The next step is the rise of our Xia family. After thinking about it, the old lady couldn't help but glance at Zhu Gang. There was sarcasm in his eyes. He. So what if I go to the Zhong family? Our Xia family is now the in-laws of the richest man in the demon city. And the Zhu family, because they offended Chen Luo, were destined to be annihilated in the demon city. Zhu Gang felt regretful at this moment. Because of a promise made by the Zhong family, he actually agreed to let his son hook up with a married woman. Especially this woman's husband is the son of the richest man in the demon city. Hey! I made the wrong move after all. Zhu Gang felt extremely regretful. It was all his fault that he did such a thing just for Zhongji's promise. He saw Zhu Ming lying on the stage, being pinned down by Chen Luo's bodyguard. Zhu Gang shook his head. I just hope that Chen Luo can be an adult and forget the faults of villains, and spare himself. The two stood on the stage and kissed passionately for a long time before Xia Wanting let go of Chen Luo. Chen Luo smiled slightly, then looked at Zhu Gang and said calmly, everyone in the Zhu family can get out. Looking at you makes me sick. Now that he saw the Zhu family, he felt extremely disgusted. This kind of profit-seeking family is doomed to be suppressed, and it is doomed not to rise. When Zhu Gang heard that Chen Luo told him to get out, he was extremely grateful as if he had been granted amnesty. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for sparing your life. Let's get out now. We'll get out now. The Zhu family members didn't waste a moment and stood up one after another. Fleed from here quickly. It's terrible. I didn't expect that their relatives would offend the richest man in the demon city. Now they didn't dare to continue cheering. Anyway, he is just a small businessman, and the Chen family will definitely not notice him. Zhu Gang's family, on the other hand, is probably going to go bankrupt. After all, his company is the largest, the richest, and the mastermind. Just when Zhu Gang was about to leave, Chen Luo shouted again, drag you son of a bitch down with me, and wipe the floor clean by the way, it's dirty. Hearing these extremely humiliating words, Zhu Gang dared not speak in anger. He could only nod and bow down on the stage, help his son up, and then wipe the floor with his expensive suit. After wiping the floor that was stained with blood and saliva, he helped Zhu Ming and left carefully. After he left, Chen Luo returned his gaze to the entire banquet hall. At this moment, only relatives of the Xia family were left in the banquet hall. There are 5 tables left. The faces of every Xia family member were filled with excitement and pride. My Xia family is about to make a fortune. Old lady, I said before that I will give the Xia family a gift of 9.99 billion, and I will never break my promise. Chen Luo looked at old lady Xia. With one sentence, Mrs. Xia almost jumped for joy. Good boy, my grandma was not good at the beginning and kept making things difficult for you. Mrs. Xia lamented. Repent for a second for your past actions. Chen Luo smiled and waved his hand, and then said, I will transfer 4.99 billion of the bride price to the Xia family, and I will give the remaining 5 billion to my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Does the old lady have any objection? The old lady smiled and said, how can you have any objection? I will be happy even if you don't give me a gift. Chen Luo smiled and said nothing. Butler, help me bring up the computer. After receiving the order, the housekeeper Lao Yang immediately walked off the stage and came back with his notebook. When the notebook was brought up, Chen Luo looked at the excited eyes of the Xia family and said with a smile, "I will pay the bride price now." After saying that, he opened online banking, entered 4.99 billion, and asked the old lady for the Xia family's bank account. When he finished typing, he pressed the enter key. The next moment, a pop-up window popped up on the computer screen. Your bank card has been frozen. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 199. After seeing this prompt, Chen Luo was stunned. He immediately turned around and asked doubtfully, "Butler, didn't you unfreeze my bank card?" He has been busy with tonight's affairs these past few days, and even spent a lot of money, but it was all within his means. Why am I trying to transfer money now, but it says my bank card has been frozen? The housekeeper Lao Yang was stunned by his question and quickly replied, "Master, I have indeed unfrozen your bank card. You asked me to buy everything in the past 2 days. I always use your card and it can be used." He was also surprised that he went to the bank to unfreeze the card in person. It was also the bank manager who personally unfrozen it in front of him. It's impossible to go wrong. After hearing the butler's answer, Chen Luo had no choice but to close the web page again and open it again. Enter the transfer amount and password. Your bank card has been frozen. Seeing this prompt, Chen Luo was completely confused. What the hell? Beside him, Xia Wanting leaned against him, frowned slightly, and asked, "Husband, why don't you call and ask? Although I don't really care about this gift, I still want my own money." Mrs. Xia seemed to see something, and smiled kindly, "Xiao Chen, if it's inconvenient now, it's okay. We will be a family in the future, so this money is not mandatory." She is an expert, so she can understand now that Chen Luo seems to have made a bet with Chen Tiansheng. "I can't use my bank card, so I've been living in a miserable state for the past 3 years. It is estimated that the bank card has not been unlocked for him yet. It's more cost-effective to go to the Chen family than to get a mere tens of billions. By then, with the power of the Chen family, the Xia family will be able to grow bigger no matter what, and reaching tens of billions will not be a problem." Xia Wanting's mother also consoled her, "Yes, Xiao Chen, if the lockdown hasn't been lifted yet, don't worry about giving. Mom is not that snobbish." Although he was a little regretful, he still had to appease Chen Luo's emotions. Now Chen Luo is not the loser he used to be, but the only son of the richest man Chen. Will my good days be less in the future? Just because he loves his daughter so much, he knows that Chen Luo will definitely not treat him too badly in the future. Hearing what they said, Chen Luo couldn't afford to lose face at this moment. So he told the housekeeper, "Go and make a call and ask the bank what's going on. Although it is late at night, who is he?" As soon as the phone call comes, the bank manager has to get up to check the problem for himself. The housekeeper Lao Yang nodded, "Okay, master." Lao Yang reported to Chen Luo, "Why, master, the bank manager said it was master's secretary who asked him to stop your business again." He took out his cell phone and dialed the bank manager's number. For the first time, astonishment appeared on that old face, and he couldn't understand what the Chen family was doing. Manager Niu smiled bitterly and said, "I don't know what happened. Anyway, yesterday Mr. Chen's secretary told me to stop all Mr. Chen's bank cards, and then withdrew all the funds, leaving only a few $10,000 in it." When Chen Luo saw the person coming, he shouted angrily, "Secretary Luo, why did the old man stop my card? What are you doing here?" Just when he took out his mobile phone and wanted to call Chen Tiansheng, the door of the banquet hall was suddenly opened. "Hang up the phone." "What's the matter?" Chen Luo was a little confused. After hearing this, the housekeeper Lao Yang was a little confused. What's going on? Nothing. The person who came was none other than Chen Tianzhen's beautiful personal secretary. As I said before, you can make your own decisions. Looking outside the door, all the Xia family members in the banquet hall were stunned. Didn't it mean that Chen Tianzhen allowed Chen Luo to marry Xia Wanting? In the past, these little things were all done by the master. It's fun to embarrass yourself in front of so many people, right? Yes, I'll fight now. The housekeeper Lao Yang didn't dare to delay and responded quickly. I really don't know. How about you ask Mr. Chen? He couldn't figure out why he didn't know anything about it now, but the secretary did it instead. The phone rang twice, and a voice came out, "Hello, Butler Yang, what's the matter?" "Manager Niu, what happened to my young master's card? Wasn't it unblocked 2 days ago? Why can't it be used again? Why did Chen Tianzhen stop his card again?" Secretary Luo smiled slightly and said, "Mr. Chen asked me to tell you 2 things. What? What did the old man want to do? He stopped my card again." Chen Luo became furious when he heard this. "First, leave here, sever ties with this woman, and don't have anything to do with her again. Now you are regretting it and asking someone to stop your card. Are you kidding yourself?" After hearing this, Manager Niu quickly replied, "Butler Yang, this is what happened. Yesterday afternoon, Mr. Chen's secretary called and told us to permanently freeze Mr. Chen's card and transfer all the funds. The second thing is that if you don't leave, Mr. Chen will sever the father-son relationship with you." Lao Yang replied, "Okay, excuse me, Manager Niu." Secretary Luo, who was in good shape, heard this and replied calmly, Mr. Chen asked me to come over and ask you 2 things. Before she finished speaking, Chen Luo interrupted her impatiently, "It's impossible." Chen Luo said with a gloomy face, "Butler, call him immediately and ask him what's going on." Then 2 people walked in. "Is the old man crazy?" Chen Luo smashed the computer directly. Old Mrs. Ya was stunned for a moment as she listened below. "What is this and what is it?" "Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO." Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 200. "What?" Chen Luo lost his voice in shock. "Is the old man crazy? He wants to sever the father-son relationship with me." Hearing the news, Chen Luo was shocked beyond measure. "The old man is not afraid of losing his descendants, isn't he? I don't know if he is my only son. You have severed the father-son relationship with me. Are you planning to live alone all your life? Aren't you afraid that no one will be there to see him die? Impossible, the old man can't do this. You must be lying to me." Chen Luo took 2 steps back and shook his head. Secretary Luo's smile did not change. "Mr. Chen, that's what Mr. Chen told me. I just relayed his words truthfully." Although she was also shocked, it didn't matter. After Mr. Chen had sex with him that day, it seemed that he had remained in his body. If you can get pregnant by yourself, even if you don't marry him and give birth to a son, you can still get a lot of wealth. I am only 27 years old now, so what if I give birth to another child? If you have money, are you still afraid that your life will not be good in the next life? The old man won't do this. I'll call him and ask him now." Chen Luo murmured. He took out his cell phone and dialed Chen Tianzhen's number. The phone rang 7 or 8 times before the call was answered. As soon as the call was connected, Chen Luo shouted, "Old man, is what your secretary said true? Do you really want to sever the father-son relationship with me?" On the other end of the phone, Chen Tianzhen's indifferent tone came out, "Yes, you and that woman are now clearly separated. I still recognize you as my son. Even if you don't marry Zhongji, it's okay, but you just can't be with her." "Impossible," Chen Luo picked up the phone and shouted at him. "You want me to separate from Wanting? Let me tell you, this is impossible. Chen Tiansheng felt a little cold when he heard his hysterical words, but he did not forget the agreement he made with Zhang Cheng. He still suppressed his anger and asked, "Then you want to choose to sever the father-son relationship with me, right? You have severed the father-son relationship with me, and you can't even take a son from me." Chen Luo roared, "Even if I sever the father-son relationship with you, I will not separate from wanting. Just give up on this." Toot toot. When he finished speaking, Chen Tiansheng hung up the phone. In the courtyard of Chen's villa, Chen Tiansheng was lying on the sofa, and his cell phone slipped down. His annual salary in the Chen family is almost $500,000. Wanting, I am no longer a member of the Chen family, and I can't give you the gift." Chen Luo lowered his head in shame. There was only an entire banquet hall left, sitting here in confusion. Chen Luo was kicked out of the Chen family by Chen Tiansheng? Now that Chen Luo has lost his identity as the only son of the Chen family, Lao Yang will no longer have anything to do with him, because he has nothing to do with it, so he was fired. This income is also the highest among private butlers. Chen Luo's expression changed. She single-handedly founded a female president of a technology company with a market value of tens of billions. Watch the butler leave. How could he be willing to sever the father-son relationship with Chen Luojin? Is this true or false? Mrs. Xia is a little uncertain. Is this true or is she just testing her Xia family? Chen Tiansheng pinched his eyebrows and felt a little chilled. "Beast, you really dare to sever the father-son relationship with me for the sake of a woman?" "No need," Mrs. Xia suddenly stood up and said coldly. "What happened?" Seeing that Chen Luo had asked about the result, Secretary Luo said to the housekeeper Lao Yang, "Butler Yang, Mr. Chen said that you have been fired. You can pack your things and leave the Chen family. That is to say, he doesn't play online very much, otherwise he would definitely know a term." "Old man, are you serious this time? However, I will work hard to make money in the future. In fact, not many people in the entire Demon City know Chen Yingxiu's identity." Licking the dog. Then he looked at the housekeeper, Lao Yang, and said with a wry smile, "Butler, it was me who hurt you this time. Doesn't Chen Tiansheng only have an only son? Regarding her name, everyone only knows that she is an extremely young billionaire and a model of self-made wealth. In the banquet hall of the Chen family's four-star hotel." After explaining this, Secretary Luo and his assistant turned and left. Chen Tiansheng couldn't figure out why his idiot son couldn't see through a woman who could abandon him at any time for money and power and still wanted to be with him. Therefore, Chen Yingxiu's superficial identity is that of a young female CEO with a net worth of tens of billions, and she does not have a big family background. Chen Luo was dumbfounded when he saw Chen Tiansheng hung up the phone without saying a word. Severing the relationship between father and son means severing the relationship between father and son. "I don't believe it. I can't live without you," Chen Luo said through gritted teeth. The housekeeper Lao Yang shook his head, turned around and walked off the stage without saying anything. Secretary Luo said with a smile, "Mr. Chen said that you obeyed his words and didn't take him seriously anymore. He doesn't need disobedient people." The face of the housekeeper Lao Yang changed greatly. How could it be possible? Why did Mr. Chen fire me? What should I do? People who are not from the top aristocratic families in the Demon City don't know that Chen Tiansheng has an eldest daughter. Chen Luo collapsed on the ground in despair.